Just look at Deku Link. I want to put him on like depressing greeting cards or something. Welcome to the video where I explain my Patreon every now and then, because that's kind of necessary. And also because I feel bad if people do it wrong, so I like to get this out of the way on the way in whenever we have a particularly long game. Because there's a few thousand people that have joined the channel since the last Patreon game was chosen. And also people just lose track and they're like, oh man, the Zelda game's ending, I better help pick the next one. And then they join my Patreon like the day of the finale or the day after the finale, and I'm like, we've already picked the new game, I'm sorry. That's how we do things. So here's the schedule in advance. So now you can know in advance. Here's how it's happening. So I've recorded up to the Zelda finale, the 75 episodes. You can see here when it's going to happen, and we can backtrack to find when other various elements of things are going to happen. So the way that the Patreon vote works is that I don't do much of anything. It's a really hands-free, like, you guys guide the process thing. Because there's misconceptions where people think that I make the list or that I choose them or something, and I don't do either of those things. What happens is that first on May 28th, the people who are in the $15 tier or above, the nominator tier, those people, they can just straight up just nominate any game, basically, with a few limitations. Like, there's some games I just can't reasonably record based on what weird platform they're on, and there's a few things that are straight up like, I can't really record pornographic games, I can't really record music games, generally speaking, because of how copyright works and so on and so forth. But generally speaking, I've basically never had to actually have a conversation with anybody about how reasonable their nomination is, because people actually pretty much tend to nominate PC games or things that have been on platforms that I have access to, or frankly, a lot of the games that people like to nominate probably have an HD remake somewhere. So that's very convenient. That's for my purposes. But I'm constantly working on making more and more reverse progress towards being able to record older and older consoles with different hardware and everything like that. I've got some cool stuff I'm working on to make that process better and better, because there's a fair number of classic games that have not been released that I am trying to get to, like on the Nintendo 64 and stuff like that. So that's background details though. But yeah, if anything is wrong with your nomination or there's any conflict or issue or anything, I just talk to you about it and we figure that out. That basically never happens though, honestly. Then what happens is 2 days after the nomination thing, which but the way that works is that you just get a message in your inbox, which you do not respond to the email. What you do is you click the link that is given to you, and that's a unique form for that nomination, and you verify who you are, and you type in the name of the game, and so on. Try to be specific, like, there's some conflicts, like Tomb Raider is a 90s game, and it's also a 2010s game, and they're both called Tomb Raider because people name things like assholes, or like Doom and Doom, which Doom, well, narrowed it down, I guess, because I already played one of them for Patreon, but that kind of stuff. It's good to be specific about which game you mean, otherwise I have to clarify, and for whatever reason, a lot of times people don't get back to me when I ask them to clarify, so in which case I guess, and I hope for the best. 2 days after the nominations happen, I make the list of all of the things that people nominated, and I get like links to like their trailers and whatnot, so people can like check out if they see like a name they don't recognize or they're curious about and stuff like that. And people vote. It's a choose all that apply vote, because I don't want votes for one thing to sap votes from another thing. For example, when people nominate 2 Zelda games or 2 Mario games or 2 Final Fantasy games, then obviously that would split the vote between those two. Or just like, if people nominate like 4 Western RPGs and then 1 platformer, the platformer would win because all the Western RPG people would be split between those options. So we do a choose all that apply, where you can click on everything that you would want to watch and don't click on all the ones that you don't want to watch, and that all happens. So you get about 48 hours to nominate, and you get about 48 hours to vote. The finale will be on the 31st. That's the Zelda finale. And then June 1st will be the next Patreon game premiere. I did say 48 hours, but you're probably noticing the premiere is only 2 days after the vote. Yeah, I'll probably be crunching and recording the premiere the day that it goes up. So that might lag a little bit, but that's just the situation because this weekend I'm going to be going on a trip. So the 28th is the soonest I can start the nominations. It's when I get back from the thing I'm going to. So that's the whole thing. On top of the whole video game selection process, where of the 6 time slots on this channel, not counting multiplayer, one of them is chosen by the Patreon people, which I think is a pretty cool, kind of not very common amount of control to give to the audience, where you can control like 1/6 of my channel's content. On top of that, there is a weekly Q&A video where I play a mindless game and answer Q&A questions very, very elaborately with 17. I basically use them as a bouncing off point for a podcast where I get through like, I do like a 1 to 2 hour video where I get to like 2 or 3 questions each time, which is good because the questions don't exactly come in at a torrent, in a torrential downpour or anything. So it's good that I ramble like crazy. But yeah, I just do these very long Q&A videos. They are not gameplay focused game videos, but they are gameplay videos technically. I'm playing World of Warcraft right now. There's some previous videos featuring Diablo 2. I'm not generally talking about the game, and that's the point, is not to be a let's play, but instead to play a game that usually is something that I'm really comfortable with and I can play really mindlessly because I'm just used to playing and talking. So I do the Q&A while playing a game, because otherwise I'm just awkwardly sitting here and I'm not used to doing that, and it feels weirder, and the deep stuff just pours out otherwise. Like this thing I'm doing right now where I'm just staring at Deku Link. I don't like this. This doesn't feel right. This isn't a podcast with other people in it, and it's also not a gameplay video. This feels weird. Just PSA, do not select no reward. Every month or so somebody picks no reward, and then they're like, why didn't I get the Patreon vote? And why am I not in the credits? And it's like, you have to click the right, just don't go too fast. When you're signing up, just look at the form and very clearly look at all the details, because somehow I'm not even used to seeing the form because I'm on the other end of things, obviously, but people keep clicking the option that says you specifically are opting out of these things, and I assume that if you pick that option that you mean it. So people who pick no reward, they can support me monetarily if they choose, in a form where they do not get emails about the Patreon vote, and they are not featured in the credits, so they're anonymous. But they do, I believe they still do get the Q&A videos if they want them, because I set, when it comes to the privacy settings or whatever, I set those to be all patrons, not a specific tier or anything. So I believe everyone has access to those. And those are neat. So if you go through the backlog of that, that's like 50 hours of Q&A at this point. I want to say it's up there. I think we're approaching episode 35 if I remember correctly. No, we're approaching episode 45. Holy crap. And a lot of those are 2-hour videos, so it's up there if you're desperate for content, which you're probably not desperate for content because I do 6 videos a day or more. And we still have the ongoing goal, if I reach 2,000 a month, I'm going to get VR and start covering VR stuff, which in particular I'm excited about covering VR, like escape room games, because there's a bunch of those that are exclusive to that stuff, and that seems like it'd be really neat, and so on. That's the ongoing goal. I'll have to do more research probably if we ever reach that goal, because I think Valve's getting involved now, so there's another headset coming out. So that's the whole thing. So yeah, hop on the Patreon basically now-ish, or this weekend, if you want to get involved in choosing what comes after Zelda, be it via nominating games that people might vote for, or just being in the voting process yourself. Love it or hate it, this is my monetary strategy. This is how I do this full time, because my Patreon makes up the majority of my income. I sure can't make that kind of money off of my little YouTube channel. Well, I can, in that you guys are my YouTube channel, but the way that you make money through YouTube doesn't scale to that degree. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Links in the description. Thank you for your continued support, and I'll see you next time.